Welcome back to the breakdown. What a weekend, mate.
What a week.
What a week. I met a guy on Saturday night and he says to me, I'm a Rangers fan and a couple of my mates are Rangers fans. He says, and we usually think you're alright, but this year you've been a bit better.
Better?
Better, aye. And I was like,
How did you react to that?
I just says, I don't know if I agree with you, mate, but it might be the fact that my stuff against Hearts, and that's basically my ego because I went out there and said they'll be 8 points behind in March. I'm doubling down on it. I've obviously been wrong with that, but
you've doubled and doubled again.
Aye. So I'm only seeing what I see, saying what I see. Also, I don't. I don't think they'll keep going.
Last week we thought. I'm just trying to think what we predicted. You thought that they had to win the derby and get a point at Ibrox. I'm sure 4 points. I think you thought that they'd have to get out of the six points available, which they've obviously only got 3 in there.
Yeah,
winning the derby late on. What's your thought now? They're still in a title race. They have to still be in a title race, obviously, because they've got the league. But
they're in amongst it, and it's known. I said on the TV that after the Edinburgh derby, it's obviously not impossible for them to stay there. But I just think the way they're playing, they 2 shots in target in the Edinburgh derby. They might be favourites top of the league. They were poor game, but they were poor. They ground it out fair enough, but they 2 shots in target. So you need to look a wee bit deeper. They 3 shots in target yesterday. They scored 2, so they're being clinical with the chances they're creating. I just think you maybe need to create more. You need to be better than that.
They're missing Shanks, though, aren't they? To be fair,
Shankland's a big miss. It sounded yesterday he was on doing the game, wasn't he? It sounds like he could be back soon because he mentioned a fully fit squad in a couple of weeks. So that'll be a big.
He's been a huge. I think Cammy Devlin when you think of their injuries, but Shankland, that goal scoring threat, that experience, that the fact that he's the captain, it doesn't mean that the Halkits etc. that have obviously been in standby for Shanks being out injured. Have been good replacements and such, but I just think what he brings to the team, and that's no knock on Cammy Devlin, what role and influence he had, but when you touch on the goal scoring things, he's like, he can score it in nothing, Shanks, can't he? His experience, his nouns, he's like, you think him probably playing at Ibrox yesterday, and I thought Hearts struggled to get up the pitch at times because they never had that focal point.
Yeah.
I thought Braga Industrious was terrific, but I felt Kizaridis just they'd never got that many opportunities to hurt Rangers in that final third, to create the opportunities to get shots at goal, etc. Whereas I think if you have Shankland's nous and his experience and his cleverness in open play, let it be slowing the game down to get a free kick to then allow it to go in the box. I'm not so sure. I think that's been one of the biggest factors I've seen. Not just his goal scoring power, and his off the cuff brilliance at times that can change a game on the flip of a coin. I think he has been a huge factor for them. How he's been out.
Rangers 4-4-2 yesterday.
Now, were you surprised at that?
I was. I don't know. I don't know every one of the formations this year, but I don't think they've done that this year. I don't know if they've went with 2 strikers, have they?
I think there's probably, I'm a bit the same. I think there's been a time probably that Miovski and Shermiti have been on the pitch at the same time, and they've maybe looked more like a 2, or one of them's maybe had to slightly play off a side.
Have they ever started like that?
But I don't think they've started like that.
Because it was very similar, the way they played a 4 at the back with like kind of 4 box in midfield. So the wingers, Olsen and Mikey Moore, played inside, and then they had 2 strikers. So the width came for the fullbacks, and that's like we spoke about Motherwell last week. It's mad how they just played Motherwell and then Rangers go and play that. I don't know, it's interesting, isn't it?
I would say I've been a wee bit intrigued. I know we were obviously speaking before we started that he's probably visually for an outside looking in, and somebody might tell us that we're totally different. It's just our opinion. It looks like he's quite tactically on the opposition.
I like
if that makes sense.
What they do, he goes.
I like to compensate that to play against it, which you could argue is obviously really cute and clever. I thought having the 2 strikers.
But do you think at Celtic and Rangers you should be doing that, or do you think there are clubs where you should have your style and stick to it? Because I always thought he was doing that because he never had the players that he liked in, but now he's got the players and he played them.
I suppose unless we had him on here and asked like how he feels the game and how he sees it would be hard to kind of know what goes through his head. But I think for just looking at a perspective of the way he's been, But then you could argue like European games have the results haven't been amazing. Obviously, Ludogorets, obviously the last one getting the result, but obviously difficult start when he first took over off Russell. Team wasn't going well. He's certainly changed the tide in that respect. But I think back to when I played domestically, apart from playing against Celtic, really, we had a manager that made us feel 10 foot tall, that we had the best players, and a lot of times domestically we'd play 4-4-2, which is a dying art now, really, isn't it? It's not really a formation that many people play. A lot of people defend 4-4-2 without the ball. It could look like a kind of 4-4-1-1 with a kind of one of the strikers dropping onto a defensive midfielder, but to start with two strikers up against Hearts, I thought was quite a cute and clever move. Two big physical presences, different from what probably Hearts have been used to against different teams. I think the Hibs are probably, without having the focal point, like I think like a Martin Boyle and a Scarlett, obviously recently. I know Sutu's slightly different, but they occupy like a back four without the physical presence, really. Whereas when you think, Rangers front two being big, strong, strapping lads, that it probably, I think Rangers, for the naked eye, it looked to me that they were happy to allow Hearts to have the ball in fullback areas, knowing that the ball wouldn't come forward with too much quality. I know McEntee obviously had to go off injured. Hopefully he's on the mend soon. I think he's hurt his shoulder or whatever. But I felt like when the ball went forward off of Hearts, it allowed Rangers a real physical presence in central areas.
Yeah.
And then it allowed Mikey Moores, it allowed the front two to be more of a focal point and actually have a partner rather than being isolated on their own, which I think at times Shermity, Miovski have had to lead the line themselves.
I think Shermity benefited for two strikers yesterday.
I do. I thought he looked quite athletic within duels. I thought he could run in behind. Listen, he's scored 3 brilliant goals, and really, albeit you could argue the goalkeeper maybe never rubbed his selling glory with certainly the last one anyway. But no, listen, he's. What
do you think about him? I've been, somebody in the comments has said, am I going to give him a bit of credit? I don't think I've been. Definitely no. No, somebody said, are you going to be give him a bit of credit and Danny Rowe? I don't think I've been hard on Danny Rowe. I think Danny Rowe's done a good job. I've said
he's done a brilliant job.
Shermity, for me, I think hasn't done enough, and I still stand by. If Rangers play him as a sole number 9, they're not going to win the league with him as a sole number 9. But when the Deary beside him, evidence yesterday showed that's helped him, because he's no 2v1 with centre backs. He's got somebody else to occupy the other centre back. He's obviously got physical attributes where he can run in behind and produce. Keeper's got his save, arguably 1 or 2 he shot yesterday, but taking that away from him, he done well, and he might prove that he's good with two strikers, but I don't think on his own he can do the job. I think he proved that against Motherwell.
Well, it's amazing how a fan base or a perspective can change in it. You'd probably go from being a wee bit disappointed at Fir Park.
Well, do you think Danny Rowe was right then to make the rest players for the game?
Listen, I don't know, because he's obviously Romans has come in and hit the ground running. I think when you get to this stage of the season, I think if we both know behind the scenes you've got sports science, you've got the medical team, players hit these red zones, they're game time, they're not like. I can only go back to what it was like for us. You chasing a title and you're chasing success at the big clubs. I played with loads of injuries. I played in the red zone probably 3/4 of my career. You play, and you play your best team, and you play the players that are on song. And sometimes you need to ask them to go to the well and dig deep for you. And it might be it might be risky, they might be carrying a wee niggle, but the reward is there for taking that risk, I think. So I think they were. Well, listen, they were only minutes away from getting a really good result against Motherwell, albeit I thought Motherwell were terrific. If they'd got that result and then backed it up with a performance against Hearts, I thought the first half lacked a wee bit of quality for both teams, to be honest. I thought the second half Rangers looked like they had a wee jag at half time. I thought the crowd were brilliant. I thought they really got behind them. I've been at Ibrox where you need the players' onus to get the crowd off their seats and get them singing, get them excited, get a buzz around the place. It's just unfortunate the way it is. If you think that you're just going to walk on that pitch and the crowd's going to be right behind you, you have to give them something to sing about.
Yeah.
I thought in the second half, for that 15-20 minutes, up to kind of 70-75 minutes, where I thought it petered away a wee bit, and then it's come to a wee bit of hanging on. I thought Gassama, when he come on, with all the space, with Hearts obviously pushing for that equaliser, looked a real threat. And Chermiti gets probably what he deserved in the end, but a huge result in the title race.
I think when Danny Rowe came in, he's not like a lot of the players that are there. I think that was clear. I just get that feeling he's not been happy with the squad. I'd heard that.
It's normal that though, isn't it? I suppose.
But I think he was quite surprised on how much the squad cost, 20 odd million, and what he had got for that. I think. So I think he brought his own players in. What he done with the squad was grind wins out until the January window. Then he's brought his own players in, and I thought against Motherwell, get them on the pitch, play them. But obviously he's got his own reasons. Puts them on the pitch yesterday, and you see, Romans looks a good player for me.
Chukwueze, I thought was terrific.
Looks decent as well.
Big powerhouse.
Olsen, he got the assist for Chermiti, did he?
Aye, it's a brilliant, and on his right foot as well. It's a brilliant ball. Isn't it?
Who am I missing here? Big Nadiri.
I think the industrious work that he done without the ball will be a real good foil for Rangers.
Yeah.
I think we talk about it all the time, and probably people get bored of saying it, but I think your Mikey Moores, even Raskin, I think Raskin's the best player at the club, bar none. I genuinely think he's also really unique. You see him even when the game's late on and the ball turns over and Rangers go to break. He's sometimes the furthest up the pitch as a Rangers player. Mm-hmm. And at times, obviously, playing with Chukwueze as a 2, I would suggest that's off the cuff and just what Nico sees.
Because what he also does is drops between the two centre backs
and
gets the ball, and then also he ends up the top. He's not really disciplined at all, is he?
No, really not. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that he's not a brilliant player. Because I do think he is the best player. So I do think the team has to balance off that. I thought Conor Barron was doing a brilliant job to do that. Mm-hmm. I think Diamande, when he plays that role alongside Nico, I think complements him well as well. I think you have to understand what Nico's strengths are, and that is playing off the cuff, and he sees space, he runs into it. He's one, as you mentioned, drops in between Fernandez, John Souttar to get a touch of the ball, and then in a blink of an eye he can end up 40-50 yards up the pitch, which you could argue...
Yeah, it's weird as well, because he's not even tall when he's good in there.
Brilliant in there, mate. Great in both boxes. But I know people that know him. John, the dog trainer, who does obviously a bit dog training, for a wee shout out for John, he says he's elite when it comes to his mindset.
Right.
He's elite at everything, like football. And I didn't know Nico that well. I know different managers, known Barry well, that he can be a wee bit of a nippy sweetie on the training pitch. And he can
How does his dog trainer know that?
See, obviously the boys. I just think just the way he is, his personality, right. Obviously works with a lot of players, right. Does a lot of dog training for a lot of the lads. Obviously gets to know the boys, whether it be a Kieran Tierney, obviously at Celtic, next door, obviously. So I think he just, as a person, he just like the way these people present themselves and how they speak, and seeing his professionalism when he's obviously maybe going and picking up the dog or whatever. And I've heard that. I heard these really... So
that would make sense. I heard that the Belgian players, when Sean Maloney was coach, they would always, no matter what was done in training, they would come to him and say, why did we do that? They always wanted to know. They would say, why were we doing that? What was the reason for that behind it? They always wanted to know the reasons for things, which might seem to the normal punter a pretty normal thing, but you wouldn't naturally do that, would you?
Nah, maybe no. But and I suppose if you're not comfortable in your skin, you can maybe feel as though that's a player always questioning you.
Yes, exactly that.
But I know obviously for knowing Conor quite well, and obviously getting a wee insight into watching training when Barry was the manager, because obviously I was backing at the club, he can be a wee bit of a nippy sweetie at times, but I think that's just his standard. It's not in a bad way, and I think if you've got players in a group that can handle it, because listen, I played with Barry, and I don't think maybe nippy sweetie is the best way to describe these lads, but they were winners, they were drivers, they had high standards, they were competitive in training every day, and there was maybe people that maybe didn't quite like the way these players would maybe speak to them off the back of a mistake or a coming together, and then there was other players that would let it go in one ear and the other. But I think when it comes to
You need to have that though in a squad. You need to have. You can't. Everything can't be nice and rosy in the garden.
no,
Doesn't
no.
it?
But
There needs to be arguments.
I think some people think that, don't they?
Aye, I think you need characters like that to drive the standards,
100%.
and they might not always be nice and great for the place on the training ground, but they'll drive the standards and they'll get the best out of everybody. And aye, that's what makes them good players. The same guys will win you games with last minute goals and produce performances in pressure situations.
Where do the Jambos go for here?
Yesterday, I think a good result would have been a draw for Celtic.
How surprised were you when they went 1-0 up?
I was.
Show me how you reacted when Leonard whipped that in the top corner.
I just knew when it felt him. I just knew when it felt him. He was scoring it.
I was in a wee bit of disbelief though, because it's amazing if that had been at Tynecastle, the place are up,
I know.
And then obviously it goes in,
Aye.
and Jack Butland's like that reaction. If it's big, I don't know
And
what
then
Fernandes is doing, but
Hearts' strongest point is defending their box and defending their half. So I'm thinking they're 1-0 up here. This is going to suit them.
aye.
But they didn't seem to do that, and then
Perfect time for Rangers to score again.
Aye,
wasn't it?
quick score,
I wonder if it went a longer period of time, but even Braga's goal, man.
I think that was a sorer one. When they took the 2-1 lead, you're thinking, they're not going to concede again quickly. They might have seen that to half time, and then you're maybe looking at a different game, but they conceded far too quick, didn't they? It wasn't like them. It was like
That'll be the biggest disappointment, I think, for Dell, to get their noses in front and be pegged back as quick. But I thought they lacked a wee bit of quality in the second half to cause Rangers any problems. It ended up being, I know 3-2, and the goal obviously comes late to put the kind of icing on the cake for Rangers. But listen, still there to be shot. I mean, it's still top of the league. Can they still win it?
see if you took one player out of Hearts to weaken them, one player to get injured that would kill Hearts, who would it be?
Braga, without any question of doubt.
100%.
I thought Beningame was brilliant. Especially I thought Hearts did try and play at times, spacing the full-back areas. A couple of times, obviously, a couple of wee skirmishes in the middle of the pitch, but I thought his composure on the ball, which he's really good at. But I just think if you take Braga, I'm a big fan of Kizarides, but I just think the work rate that Braga does,
It's unreal.
I can imagine. Listen, I wasn't a defender, but I can imagine if you were still playing this country and you're sitting here doing this, you'd be like, he's just a pest. Like, so strong. Like, his header again. Like, John Souttar is really good in the air. I know he gets caught a wee bit going back, but it's unbelievable.
It's a great header.
It's an unbelievable header, eh?
Great header. I mean, you always feel that if he gets half a chance, he'll score it.
He's not a big lad either.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? So I've never stood next to the pair of them, but I'm going off the same type. He's got that stocky shape, a bit like Raskin, isn't he? And they're both obviously good in the air.
The same token, if I was a centre back playing in his team, I would love he was a first line of defence, just forcing teams down one side, pressing them. I think it'd be brilliant to play with.
Who would you say?
I would say Braga as well. I'd actually argue that if Braga was injured and Shanklin was playing, it would be a bigger miss.
Just because of the energy in the front?
Just because the energy he brings. I think he's perfect to play alongside Shanklin, but he's proved that he can go and sort of lead the line himself with the way he runs and the way he never gets like disheartened. It's a real good find.
He's a teammate's dream, isn't he? It's the hard yards he does.
The only thing with Hearts is I just don't know if they can maintain what they're doing. Obviously I've doubted them. I continue to doubt them. They'll not be happy with me. But I don't know that they can't just keep creating one or two chances in a game and continue to win them. If Hearts don't win the league,
I can see this as a big question coming.
where does it leave them? Just say Hearts finish third. Look, if Hearts had a good season,
I think because they're sitting top of the league, Hearts fans will still be delighted with the journey they've been on and the highs that they've had. I think if they end up whimpering out, and that's just only the next kind of few months is going to tell us that that's going to be the case.
how would you rate their season? I know we're getting ahead, right? But they finished third this year. How are you rating their season?
If they finish third, I would say that they've. I think I would say they've had a good season.
A better season than Hibs had last year. Because
I
Hibs
think, their,
finished
point,
third.
I think their points total is going to be higher than Hibs, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but then
Does that mean more than cup runs?
I think that's you've just took the kind of words out of my mouth. I think the cup run will be the bit that'll be frowned upon a wee bit. Knocked out the cups, I think, for the Edinburgh teams in the earlier rounds is a real kick in the teeth for the fans because they want that journey. They want to get to Hampden. And I go back to a spell, albeit Hibs never got over the line a lot of times, but they hit semi-finals, they hit finals like regularly. So I would say that if you have got that mentality and you've had it yourself as a player, you played at the big clubs, being just up at the top of the league's not enough, is it? If you want to be a big fish, you
So
have to
for
then
me, all of a
compete.
sudden, Hearts go for having the greatest season
To know.
ever, or definitely in my lifetime, to an average season if they finish third. And you look back and go, good fight. They put up a good fight, but ultimately they've finished third and they've not had a league. They've not had a run in either cup.
Can Hibs or Motherwell catch
Celtic
them?
and Rangers are fighting in both in European fronts and in cup competitions every single year.
No, I know, but I suppose
I'm being better again, innit?
I know what you mean. I genuinely know what you mean, and I see it. I think they have invested into the squad, Hearts, probably more than they have done.
Who's been a success in that investment right now for
Well,
you?
aye,
Who you saying, right?
Well, obviously the front two, the two,
Braga,
obviously Braga,
Kezeridis.
aye.
Who else
Um,
would you say?
well,
Magnussen's played his part, hasn't he?
well, especially scoring in the derby.
Yeah.
I think when you
Millen.
Milne, but then obviously like Stuart Finlay isn't coming through Jamestown, is he?
Aye,
I wouldn't suggest he is.
No,
do you know what I
no.
mean? But obviously chipped in with a few goals at the start of the season when Hearts went on that brilliant run. So
Aye, he's been good.
Aye, so I think it's hard to. And then I know Shanklin was there, but then gets him over the line to sign a new deal.
Yeah.
He was out of contract obviously in the summer.
That was the management of Dale. I don't think any other manager would have managed to convince Shanks to come back to.
My biggest surprise was that he never had. And listen, he might be able to tell us, and I hope I'm wrong, but it didn't look like he had a million options in the end, which is a real surprise. I think a lot of people missed a trick on him.
How Celtic and Rangers never took him. Honestly,
it goes back to that snobbery, really.
Honest to God.
Which is a frustration.
Can you imagine Rangers or Celtic had signed him? They'd have been clear now.
I think if he plays in either of the Rangers and Celtic teams, who I didn't think are, by all accounts, firing on all cylinders like a previous year. It's been a brilliant season for us,
Aye.
for the podcast, but it has been a strange one, isn't it?
And the main thing they've both been missing is there been a number 9 exactly like Shankland.
I think Shank scores 25-30 goals for either Rangers or Celtic, and that's maybe not even having a successful season.
Aye, 100%.
I just think the opportunities he was getting. I go back to like that, sniffing out chances in and around the box, the Chris Boyd kind of type, and Boydie, listen, I think he's a better player than Shanks, and rightly so, but I think they have that instinct like that all good strikers
Who's
have
a
got.
better player?
Boydie. Different, really. I would say Shanks is maybe better than Boydie in open play, but nowhere near the goal scorer of Boydie, man. Boydie was unbelievable.
It's a machine, and still play sixes, man.
Relentless, mate. I've never seen a goal scorer like it. Sniff out chances, and that's the flip of that. I was going to say, like, left foot volleys, half volleys, tap ins, headers, penalties, free kicks, wonder strikes, like volleys coming out the sky over his shoulder, and then, do you know what I mean, flying in the top corner. Like, Boydie for me was ridiculous, mate.
That's how we never get most games for Scotland, wasn't it?
Aye, but he probably pulled out a wee bit in that as well. And the Boydies will be the first to tell you, like when we played in Europe or maybe played in Old Firm games, but maybe a bit similar to like a Shanklin, maybe the mobility to lead that line and suffer as a team a wee bit and surrender a bit of possession, but play on the break. Like I think of Jean-Claude Dacheville playing, and we had a brilliant foil where like we'd maybe be hard to beat, but then you would have the quality when the ball turned over to a Barry or a Steve Davis to break quickly, maybe break quickly 2 or 3v 4 or 5 and still be able to be good enough to create a chance. Whereas normally in Europe you think, let's just say a Jean-Claude Dacheville breaking away against a Barcelona team, they'd maybe happily go 1v1.
Aye.
But normally when you break away as a Rangers team in Europe, I think you like play well.
Dacheville's boots used to annoy me. Used
Dash's
to do
boots.
World Cups, didn't he? Made them look crap.
He had the original Scotty Arfield celebration before Scotty Arfield had that celebration.
Arfield steal it for
He
Dart's.
stole it for Dash, mate. Dash done it against.
He looked like a tank, him, was he?
an animal, mate.
He looked strong.
But his bum was
Mike Tyson, man.
His bum was wider than this chair, mate.
Was he?
I didn't want to
Bigger arse than John's
bigger
again?
arse, mate. Aye, but bigger than John's, mate. Maybe no. Actually, that'd be a good tussle. Dash of all be him again. Like,
a good arse.
battle of the bums, mate. Battle of the bums. But aye, he was a brilliant. But caught him at the wrong age of his career. But he was a brilliant player as well, mate. But he had, I think, him scoring over in Sporting Lisbon when we played the UEFA Cup quarter final, and Steve Davis breaking down the right, having the quality to cross, obviously low, can he cut back, can he cross the face of the goal and dash side foot in the net, having that explosive power to get there. Davo with the quality, obviously see the pass and then execute it. I know that's getting off track a wee bit, but hopefully a good insight for people. But I would say Shanklin for me, mate, missed a trick, too much snobbery within the Scottish game. I thought they both should have signed him and they would both be in a better position now.
100%. I think he'll be back shortly. But so, would you think the Hearts will fall away now, or?
Nah, I genuinely
Think they're there at the end?
I think they're there at the end. I genuinely do, and I think Hibs, Motherwell, potentially Falkirk. I watched Falkirk on Saturday because I'd obviously done the game. Obviously Henderson getting sent off kind of kills the game for them a wee bit. I was quite intrigued to properly watch them live, albeit the screens have obviously got all the games on. I think whoever ends up, and it does look like it's potentially going to be Falkirk, Hibs, obviously Motherwell.
Good games in that top six, isn't there?
Brilliant games, mate.
I think Dale's been really clever by saying if Celtic and Rangers don't win this, it's a disaster. It's absolute. It's good mind
Did you
games.
say
Innit?
that?
He signed
Said
after the Hibs game. He was
Hibs game.
excited after the Hibs game. He says that felt like a Rangers and Celtic big victory going for the. He compared Hearts to a Celtic and Rangers title winning team that
He will be feeling the
go and
pressure,
win.
though.
Of course he is. He wants.
It's
You
a
don't
good
get
pressure.
this
It's a good
far.
pressure,
You don't get
isn't it?
this far and no think you can win the league. And I liked his interview after it. He never kind of beat around the bush. He said, "Of course we want to go and win the league. There's 12 games to go. It's 11 games to go now. Was there 10 games to go now?
27, I think that was, wasn't it? So, 11.
11 games to go now.
Celtic have got a game in hand on it. They've got to 20. I think they're 26.
So he's got to think that. But he's tried to put the pressure on Celtic and Rangers, and I'm putting the pressure right back on him by saying if Hearts don't win the league, it's been an average season.
I think you're being harsh on the Jambos, mate.
No,
but I do understand what you mean. I think
You can imagine, all said and done, right? We're sitting here in June. All said and done, you say Hearts are third, for talking sake, and they were at the Cups early, and they've not been in Europe. But that's the facts.
I know, but they've gave the fans, the travelling fans, the home support, like an opportunity to feel like what it's like at the top of the league for such a sustained period.
Yeah, I know, and I think that's brilliant, and I love the fact they're making a fist of it. Don't want them to win it, but they're making a fist of it. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, if you're if you don't win it, or you don't split Celtic and Rangers minimum, I think.
And that is going to be with Celtic.
So pressure right back on you, Hearts. What you got? Simple as that. What's Celtic game?
I've only seen bits of it, mate, because I'm at the academy. What are you saying to me? Two big. I thought last week when we done the podcast, you thought 6 points, didn't you?
I thought
Looking at the
6.
two games, Livy through the week.
Did not think it would be that tight. Celtic have scored 3 last-minute goals in the last 3 games.
Incredible.
I mean, that's not a coincidence. That is an energy for Martin O'Neill. I don't know what energy he's bringing before the game because
there has to be
they're
an
a bag of
element of
shite.
luck in it, though.
Huh?
There has to be an element of luck in it, though.
It's no luck.
There has to be.
Alex Ferguson done it for years.
I know, but
You can't continue it.
no 3 games in the bounce. Surely Martin O'Neill and the players and the fans are no wanting to see the team get over the line in injury time or waiting and hoping that last minute winner
It was
comes.
a hard watch
That's
yesterday.
what I'm saying.
Celtic were poor really poor first half. Credit to Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock played well.
Like really, apart from the Dundee United game, since Martin O'Neill's come back in, European game at times they've obviously been good.
They've not been a Celtic team. They've not played well.
They've not been great, have they?
No, but they're picking up wins.
Which is great, and that's, you could go back to Hearts winning the derby, top of the league. It's what Champions Day. It's what people would think like good teams do. They get over the line, they find a way of winning. But like as a Celtic team, I expect, for what I've grew up watching Celtic teams, more domination.
They're no dominator enough. And that's what worries me, because I think if Celtic then get into stride and get a few better performances, they'll then begin to pick up points easier. What scares me is the fixture pile up.
They're only one behind, though, aren't they?
No, I'm talking about the Stuttgart,
the European game.
the European game, the Cup. And I think they look, like yesterday, first half, Celtic players looked tired. They looked...
The pitch is not great, though, is it? Do you know what I mean? That's not making an excuse, but it sometimes can take a wee edge off what the intensity looks like.
But then you're same against Livingston's the chances. They need to be more ruthless with the chances, and then they end up making it hard for themselves. Last minute goal. Dundee, going back to the Scottish Cup game last week, poor performance up until extra time.
What are you putting it down to?
I was thinking about this earlier. It's
Still that number 9? Still a Shanklin?
he would definitely help. I mean, Vinchara done well yesterday when he came on, but against Livingston he misses a few chances. Adamu was average yesterday. It's, I don't know. There was an energy in it. I don't think Trusty was good yesterday. I think that Martin O'Neill, whatever he brings at half time, or I don't know, on the touchline at near the end of games, you can't measure it, but he's bringing an energy at that point. And before the game, I don't know what's happening there, but I don't think Celtic are starting games very well.
Is that a worry moving into the 2 Old Firm games coming up?
That's what I mean, mate. There's some big games coming.
They're obviously all big games, but that's going to be defining for Celtic for me.
The Stuttgart game's now becoming a distraction. Celtic are not going to win the Europa League.
No one domestic form, are they?
No, so it's becoming a bit of a distraction.
Funny, because I looked at the stats when they went 1-0 up against Livingston, and obviously they then peppered the goal.
Yeah.
I think they were up at like 77-78% possession. I'm thinking, well, for Marvin Livingston, obviously at the bottom of the league. Then when you actually go through the teams, like Kelly in a bit of relegation battle, Dundee 2-0 up at the weekend, probably feel aggrieved that they never went on and won the points, but down nearer the bottom of the table. So you've got Livingston, bottom of the league, Kelly kind of sitting in the playoffs, Dundee no far off looking over your shoulder, and they've kind of huffed and puffed against all three.
But I think that's what you're going to start getting now this season. So you're going to get whoever plays Livingston, Kilmarnock. Maybe Livingston will start to feel like they're gone now, but Kilmarnock, Dundee, St Mirren, now you've got teams fighting for their lives. So I think you're maybe going to start to see Kilmarnock look decent first half. The boy Jules looks a player, by the way. He'll get a badge in though yesterday. Looks like he's pulled his quad.
Aye, that'll be a right blow for them.
He got
the hat trick, didn't he?
Got the hat trick last week. Scored a goal yesterday. Don't know why Trusty's not sticking his leg out to block it, but anyway, good goal. And he looked a handful yesterday.
You got really good with Neil McCann and Scales and Finn Curtis.
Aye, I don't know.
Anything to do with ex-Rangers or?
I don't know what happened there.
I only seen it on social media.
I don't know what happened there.
It's not like Finn as well, because he's a quiet lad, Finn, but he's got a wee bit about him.
What were they fighting, maybe?
Well, I think there was loads that popped up. There was I think when the Celtic boys were doing the post-match interview, and Martin O'Neill obviously pops his head along. There was audio of Neely giving and rightly so, I suppose, the position that they're in. He'll be disappointed, obviously, the way he said that in his post-match. He's gutted at the.
Wasn't he happy with the time added on, was he?
He mentioned that, but I also think and I don't know Neil overly well, but it is the worst place to be when you show so much emotion. I think I think we should embrace that, as long as it's no to the detriment of the game. Do you know what I mean? Like I think like that bit of passion and the wee bit of coming together with Scales and Curtis, and do you know what I mean? Like all these behind, I like all that wee bit.
He's a Rangers man, and
and he probably was thinking that he was doing Rangers a turn, maybe getting a good result for Kelly. Neely obviously having his, and obviously Dodgy's in there as well. Listen, I think you should embrace. It's like Dell running down the touchline to the ball boy when they get the late goal against Hibs through the week, and then you see Danny Rowe running down the touchline when obviously Shermiti gets his hat trick yesterday. Let's embrace it, man.
Brilliant,
man.
Brilliant. I think he's doing well at Kelly. Neil McCann.
I think if I was because I know him, if I was a betting man, which I'm no, I think Kelly might have enough. The big lad potentially being injured is a real blow for them.
Bad
like,
for
a real blow, because he could have been the catalyst for them. But hopefully it's not too bad and they can get back in the pitch.
Who do they drag into it?
Well, St Mirren are in free fall, mate.
Yeah.
I watched actually probably the majority of the Hibs game on when I done the sports scene on Saturday, and I worry about St Mirren, mate.
Yeah.
Because when I watch a St Mirren team, I know that I've watched them a million times, but I would always put a St Mirren team in the bracket of Stephen Robinson, fiery, like got a bit about him, great personality, like you've got an edge to him, and I always thought a St Mirren team had an edge to them. Mark O'Hara coming back, come on as a sub, been obviously out a long time, will really help them, especially leading into this critical time of the season. But I just watched them, mate, and I even thought Hibs were never really got out of first or second gear, really. But they still end up really comfortable, if that makes sense. And I would say that a good St Mirren team make you feel uncomfortable.
They've not been the same since that cup win, have they?
I know. Didn't quote me on that. I think, like, obviously Big Tomo's good relationship with St Mirren, but he was saying they've been a difficult watch at times, you know what I mean? And obviously they go to Kelly, which was a 6-pointer effectively, do you know what I mean? And Kelly end up getting the win over them. I don't know, when you think of Gogic's and these type of players, like really aggressive, and they looked. There was a couple of times when Gogic late on got up against personal with people and nicked it, and they had their wee chance. Mandaron had a shot late on against Salinger, good save, but it just looked as though they were a team that could have played all day and all night and not scored. Which I always felt when you watch St Mirren when they've been at their best, when the ball turns over, and how quick they attack the goal, and how physical they are, the big physical team. Just always felt that they were like, like one of the teams that you're hard to play against.
Yeah.
They didn't look that difficult to play
You always
against.
thought who goes to St Mirren, or if whoever's playing St Mirren this weekend, they're going to be in for a game.
Could drop points.
But now you don't feel that, do you?
So I would say they would be one that Kelly would be. And Big Stephen Presley's he'll be scunnered because down the hill to go 2-0 up, Talisman scores 2 great goals. The boy Congreve, by the way, mate.
It's good, isn't he? Good.
Hey, mate.
Left-footed right winger.
On loan for Swansea. He can play, mate.
Yeah.
Darts, goes both ways, as you mentioned.
I like Ethan Hamilton as well.
He actually got caught for the goal. He got isolated in the middle of the pitch. Montano and Lewis Smith got in around him. Thought Pittman was excellent for Livingston. I think Marvel back himself to try and get out of trouble, mate, but I just think it's...
Big Martindale in the stand with a earpiece on.
See that? I didn't see that at Dens, but I did see the footage at Celtic Park.
Got an earpiece on.
Seen who's he?
He's sporting director. Who's he on that end it?
What are you saying about that? No, I've done that.
Well, that means he's still the manager, unless he's running a taxi firm for the stadium. Roger.
He was ordering the Dominoes for afterwards.
Can't have an earpiece on.
That is hard though. Eh? Obviously, it's not to Marv. It's
the first sporting director I've ever seen with an earpiece in.
Well, we've seen a sporting director on the bench at Aberdeen.
I know, but it's the first I've seen with an earpiece. An earpiece.
Brilliant, man.
Oh, man, you just cut the cables, wouldn't you? Imagine listening to him for 90 minutes.
I think I didn't know the boy Neil Hastings that well, but I'm presuming he's obviously part of the coaching staff. I think I'll maybe be him. Aye. Imagine, I'd like to sit in the stand next to Davey
just to hear
what he's saying. I'd love to.
What do you think he would say down that night?
Well, up until injury time, he's probably saying this is brilliant, isn't he?
Aye.
I wonder what he was saying when Simon Murray scored 2 goals in the first 5 minutes. Brilliant, man. 40-minute title race, Motherwell.
Seen that getting mentioned yesterday. I looked at it and I thought they're the best football team in the league by a mile. They battered Rangers. Well, they said they would dominate Rangers, didn't we?
I thought Rangers would get after them more. I thought Rangers were too passive, to be honest, mate.
My thinking was actually Rangers were better than I thought they were going to be. This sounds mad, but I thought you know the way Motherwell dominated Celtic when Nonce was a manager.
Aye.
Like absolutely hammered them. It was a lesson they gave Celtic that night. I thought it was going to be the same against Rangers. I thought Rangers tried to press up, but Motherwell just got all the answers. I mean, how do you press a goalkeeper that comes and plays that high? Did you hear what he said? In fact, Dave, did you hear what he said? He came out and said that when they went down to 10 men, his keeper usually acts as half a centre-back. You know how we spoke about it? He steps up and plays in a back three. He asked him to be more of a centre-back. So when he went down to 10 men, in possession, he stood up higher to become more aggressive with the ball, and he asked him to come for crosses and be more of a dominate his box, to be more like a centre-back. When have you ever heard that?
Brilliant. Fair play.
That's changing the game with 10 men in it.
Aye, and they've been. I thought Rangers were too passive and too defensive to and off the back of Sunday to have went and got. Listen, you could argue it could be a good point come the end of the season against obviously a really good Motherwell.
Can Rangers call a good point in any game?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't, but I know Danny Rowe obviously come out and said that like point we move on type thing. Then if they then back up Sunday, it's not the worst.
Yeah.
It's not the worst week, if you know what I mean. But Motherwell, mate, like then they're going back it up again to beat Aberdeen at the weekend. I actually thought Aberdeen would. Tony Docks obviously just went back in there, and
That's right.
Tony Wells.
Yep.
Probably quite an astute appointment for Peter Leaving to just give him that wee bit of experience and that wee bit now. It's obviously a great relationship he's got. Doc up at Aberdeen, a wee bit of left curveball, getting sacked at Ross County, and
They won the game with less possession though, didn't they? That was a surprise.
I can't believe it, mate. When I flicked on, I think it finished Aberdeen 54% possession and Motherwell 46 at Fir Park, which doesn't happen very often.
That's not like them. It just shows how good defensive structure they've got. They don't need to dominate the ball, even though that's their main thing and what they're trying to do.
And the flip of that is they're maybe no always at their brilliant best. It's maybe no always as fluent as what they would like it to be. Do you know what I mean? But to still win, and albeit the last goal in the 93rd minute kind of puts the icing on the cake for them to obviously win 2-0, and it probably looks more comfortable than it was. But I think Aberdeen will be okay, but I have to say Motherwell, the manager, the players,
Where can they finish?
I think they will. I think Hibs will make a good scrap of it, to be fair, because I think Hibs will win a lot of their home games as well. Obviously Celtic at the weekend.
So
Hibs.
So my thinking with a title challenge for Motherwell, because it's been mentioned a couple of times, is they would probably need to win 10
I'm not
in their last 11 games, because I think it's going to be around about the 83, 80.
We thought early 80s.
Aye, early 80s to win the league, and I think Motherwell would then need to win. That'd be 10, so that would leave them on what?
Just a wee bit behind,
10.
didn't they?
No,
By the way, you wouldn't rule them out. What I would say is Falkirk, if they do get there, Hibs, Motherwell, if that does end up the top 6 with the 3 in front of them, Hearts, Rangers and Celtic, the teams will have a big say in where the title ends up going, I would imagine.
Who do you want to win the league?
I obviously want Rangers to win the league.
Right, so if you were offered 82 points now, would you take it? Do you think that'd be enough?
I need to get my calculator out.
That would be. So the league
What
tables,
I would say is the up and coming Old Firm game at Ibrox, the way both teams are playing, and I didn't think either of the two of them you'd be sitting thinking, oh, they're flying, like it's because I know form goes out the window, but I certainly wouldn't be the way Celtic have huffed and puffed over the line in recent weeks. Be fancying Celtic to go to Ibrox and get something.
I know.
So I think it puts Rangers in a better position. But then I would be the flip of it. I know Rangers have just went to Celtic Park not that long ago and obviously and won 3-1. So you're a wee bit like they've already shown that they're capable of doing it. But if the game was at Celtic Park coming up, I'm not so sure I'd be sitting here thinking, oh, Rangers are flying and I fancy them to go there and win.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to call
It's
isn't
hard
it?
to call me, aye, and it's like watching Hibs, they go through the disappointment. I could see how sick Dave was obviously. Hibs fans are in the wee bit, you lose to your arch rivals, they're sitting top of the league, the aftermath, the lights come on at Tynecastle, you have to sit in that bus back to Easter Road to get to your car, like you then have to then prepare yourself for another game at the weekend against St Mirren, who are in a relegation battle, they're in a fight, and then they comfortably win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Young striker, first start, Owen Eldon gets a great goal, the crowd are behind them. I don't know who you could write out, mate, for taking points off people.
That's what I mean. Like Chermiti, you're saying midweek he can't keep playing for Rangers, and then he goes and scores a hat-trick against the team at the top of the league. It's a weird season.
I seen a wee bit saying that I think it actually might have been John that had put it up. Didn't quote me on the stats, but obviously 2 against Celtic, 3 against Hearts, so scored in big games really. You could argue, obviously, your arch rival and the team that you're chasing to try and win the title. And a lot of the fans felt Dessers never got the goals in the big games. You could argue Shermitty's form in the big games has been second to none, and they could be the games that matter.
Yeah.
Yet, obviously, against the rest, he's probably not quite been as prolific as what Rangers fans would like him to be. But listen, I think we're probably just as bad as anyone really. But we would be the same. The one thing you don't get is time. You need to hit the ground running, but he's probably going to grow and grow. At the age that he's at, he is going to get better. He's got good scope into it, but the harsh reality is people want you to be scoring goals now. Well, listen, he's just off the back of a hat-trick, so I think he deserves all the credit he gets. But I would sit in the same boat as you. I'm not so sure his form over the course, you would be putting your life on him scoring the goals. That will be the difference between Rangers winning the title or losing it.
It doesn't strike me as somebody that scored a hat-trick this week and could score a double next week, and then maybe, or even a goal and go and score, 8 in the next 10 games. It doesn't strike me as that guy.
No, I don't even know if that is the type of striker he is. Statistically in his career, it's not really been the striker he is.
He had a big chance against Motherwell, he missed that. He just didn't fancy him.
No, but then he takes his goals brilliant, doesn't he? He did. On Sunday, so he has got that quality. I think the Rangers fans have grown to him because his effort, he's all round. I think he's got better at linking the play. I think he's been a threat in behind. I was never too sure that he was the fastest. I think when he does get in behind, he might not get caught. I'm not so sure it's a run he really makes.
It's no raw pace, is it? It's just a bit really powerful runner.
But he's a quick enough runner, obviously. But now you've got guys like Skov Olsen, etc. in the team that are playing the crosses. You see his header's a brilliant header. Maybe just the service into the box or the areas that Rangers have been crossing for when the ball's been coming in has maybe not been.
How did we end up back at Rangers? Because we were at Motherwell there. You've wore your Rangers jumper.
You asked me who I thought could win the title.
Did you wear that to UEFA Cup final?
It's nice attire, isn't it? It's a bit bobbly though.
That's the most Rangers blue jumper I've ever seen.
It's nice, mate.
I'm wearing my Celtic tap on here next week.
I was going to bring you Celtic glasses, mate. I couldn't find. I couldn't find a pair on Amazon. I could, but they're like 70 quid. I'm not buying them. But Motherwell have been brilliant, mate. Do you genuinely think they could rough up the front?
I think they can have an effect on it. I would love to see them getting amongst the four. They're not going to win the league. They're not going to win the league, but they'll have an effect on where it's going to go. I think Askou has got to get the Celtic job after. If Martin O'Neill doesn't want it, if Martin O'Neill wins the league and he doesn't want the job, which I don't think he does, but the sounds of it, I would be talking to Bert Askou right now.
He's if you're a Motherwell board, you'd be trying to top up that contract as high as you possibly could to get the biggest compensation package you could. He's
not staying there. That's
a
shame about it, because
I know
what he could do
for Motherwell.
What he could do in a few years with Motherwell, and the reality is they're not going to be able to hold on to him.
And the worst part is for Motherwell, without writing anyone else off the back yet, who comes in and implements the same type of style that he's implemented?
That's a scary thing sometimes about when managers come to places like Motherwell. Motherwell could get relegated next year, and it wouldn't be a surprise. Depending on who comes in, because to follow that manager,
it's a
real difficult one.
Some of the players are going to come under. And
if you've got a squad that's full of players like that like to play and have enjoyed their football for a year, and all of a sudden somebody comes in and wants to launch it long and no brave enough to play. Bert Askou deserves a big job, and it's been.
Pulled your contacts to get him on this podcast yet?
We need to get him on. I need to start pestering him on the phone.
He'd be brilliant. I'd love to just pick his brain, like how he sees football.
I'd love to get him on that board.
That'd be great.
He'd be good. Right, into the questions now, Dave. What you got, mate?
Right, here's our first one. So this is from Rob.
Did you not see you've got one this week?
I'll ask.
We'll start with yours. Come on.
Right, here we go. So my question is: so Motherwell been such a success this season, and they've lost one game in the last 17. They're fourth in the league. Their form is really, really good. The way they play football, they're excellent. They're defensively really good. Going forward, they're brilliant. They're scoring goals as well. So,
any longer questions?
So my question would be, will other clubs in the SPL look to what Motherwell have done with signing this manager and bringing him in? And will they go for the same approach?
Terrible question. Move
Thinking
on.
outside the box. That's a great question.
I will joke, mate.
Well, it's a great question. In the
So
respect
basically, what you're trying to say is,
would other clubs follow the Motherwell model?
Instead of the merry-go-round of managers managing the same teams, like you've seen Kettlewells move to the same, like another club.
okay, so
again.
would other teams in the Scottish Premiership look into Europe for managers that are different?
I think they have though, isn't they?
Aye.
Different clubs, and I suppose the huge success story for Motherwell is brilliant for us all to see, but there has been other scenarios that have obviously
Exactly.
not been as successful. You only need to go to Wilfred Nancy at Celtic. Do you know what I mean? I think it depends. I think Motherwell have no. I think you need luck when it comes to recruiting players,
Yeah.
managers, any staff, but obviously more so the manager. I remember a Motherwell fan going on the phone in. I was in the car listening to the radio, and I was like, I was so frustrated. I wanted to phone in because the fan was a wee bit frustrated at the start of the season when they never picked up as many points as their performances were meriting.
That's right.
And
Couldn't score.
It couldn't, and it was a wee bit like, do you stick to playing beautiful, attractive football, but continue to maybe then not get the results? And is that the Motherwell way? And now you're like, well, they've turned that corner. They've trusted. I hate the word, but they've trusted the process. They've backed the manager. The players have bought into him. He's obviously been really astute in his detail on the training pitch. He's got a total buy-in, and they've been a breath of fresh air. They've been absolutely terrific. But I do think like it would be almost impossible for St Mirren just to turn around tomorrow and say we want to play like Motherwell.
Yeah.
And, do you know what I mean? Like,
There's an element of luck in there for me, Dave. I think that they didn't know what they were getting exactly. They didn't know if that was going to work. That's his first managerial job, although he's been an assistant. So there's an element of risk, and they knew they took a risk and it worked for them. But as Tomo said, I think you can then do that again in Europe and it doesn't work for you. So it's whether you want to. I suppose you could do your homework. If Motherwell wanted to start a whole new sort of recruitment process and say, right, this is our style now. Now, how do we get a manager that plays for the back?
yeah,
And
100%.
then you'd need to do a lot of research into it and probably have that way of sort of playing and stick to your process.
Good question, Dave.
Nice, Dave.
Cool. Okay, so next question's from Ross. Which one player in each of the three teams, if they get injured for the rest of the season, which campaign would it affect the most? Which team for the title challenge?
Well, we've already touched on Braga, haven't we? Thought it was a good question. That
Braga
for us.
kills Hearts.
Aye, it kills Hearts, mate.
For me, McGregor. If McGregor goes, Celtic are done. He is,
The kingpin.
and he gets the odd bit of stick because people throw out his legs have gone. His legs haven't been anywhere near gone, and I think he's so calm and clean in everything he does. He's in that engine room driving things. He would be a huge miss. Nobody in that squad could replace him in that position. For me, for Celtic, for Rangers is the hardest one to pick for me. But I would probably lean towards Butland.
It's mad, that, eh? I was just literally going to say I thought you would never go Butland. Don't know why.
I found it hard. I thought,
and I think Liam Kelly is a brilliant number two, a brilliant deputy. No, obviously as big and as imposing as Butland, but he'd be the one. I was leaning towards Nico Raskin. I thought that maybe be an obvious one. I think they've now got plenty different, or they've got a real good variety in the front line. When you think Antman now obviously is featured in the last few weeks, the new ones that's come in, Scove Olsen's, etc. Nadiri, obviously, Jermiti, Miovski's still in the wings. So I think they've got plenty of firepower, stroke rotation across the squad. But I kind of feel as though that's doing Liam Kelly a disservice because he's a brilliant lad, and he's whenever he's been called upon, he's been absolutely excellent for Rangers. Unbelievable for Motherwell. Brilliant, better with his feet than Jack Butland. But I didn't quite think he has the same presence within the goal, if you know what I mean. So I think Jack Butland, when you've touched on it, how you feel at times Rangers have rode their luck getting these clean sheets. At one stage I think they were 6 or 7 clean sheets in 8 or 9 games, and Jack Butland had done the Motherwell game specifically, because we've just been speaking about Motherwell, some of the saves and the chances that Motherwell missed at Ibrox that day, when Askou scored to give Rangers a 1-0
and they had a few games like that, didn't they?
Aye, they've had a few, mate, and he's come up with some huge. And listen, he's had his blunders, Jack Butland, when you think of the Shankland goal at Tynecastle. He has had a couple wobbles, probably a couple in Europe as well. But I do think he's a real top goalie.
What about Celtic?
I think it's hard to get away from Callum, mate. I don't quite think they've got the same variety as Rangers in the squad this year, Celtic, which is normally the opposite. I think they're a wee bit more reliant on maybe 12 to 14 to maybe 15, 16 players as potentially like a 20. I think Rangers, the one thing that Rangers' Achilles heel, I would have said at one stage was when you see, there was a wee period when Salah was back on the bench, who had been like in the wilderness. So John Stewart was injured at a time, Cornelius was injured, Big Fernandez hadn't even really played, really. Jaega was kind of in and out. So I would have thought that we've seen a Dujan Sterling play at centre half. So that was maybe the one position that you thought that they were maybe just slightly light on. But obviously, Big John back fit. Fernandez has come on to a real game, albeit I think he does have a mistake in him, like we've seen on Sunday. But I would go they three, mate. Braga for the Jambos, Callum for Celtic, and Jack for Rangers.
And then who does it affect the worst? So you take the three players away, and who collapses? Who makes the biggest collapse?
I think Rangers could afford to lose a player, mate, and I think the other two would be a bigger detrimental effect for them both.
Completely agree, and I think both Celtic and Rangers would, Celtic and Hearts would
suffer the most.
Really suffer with the two players away. Nice question, Dave. Next.
Okay, here's one from Kyle Ferguson. Are there any players you played with for any club that came in and you thought were going to do really well, but for whatever reason weren't a success?
Dirk Borictor. He came in with the nickname Sick Note.
Sick
Note was his nickname. But you thought if he can get it going, he's 6'1", he's rapid, he's left-footed, he's got actually shooting with his left foot, brilliant. But didn't want to play. He wasn't interested in playing. He got injured in his first game, and we actually looked back at the footage to see what had happened to him, and nothing had happened to him. He talked about his goal in the Bernabeu and things like that. He was somebody that disappointed. He had all the attributes to be a top player. Now, if he'd played left wing for Celtic in every game and used his attributes, he'd have went for millions. And you're hoping that that's what he brings, but he never. You get him there?
I kind of went left. I went a wee bit left field, and then I went back to somebody else. I wouldn't want to do any of the lads a disservice really, but they had a left back who was at Hibs, a boy called Roland Edge, who become me and Scotty's real good mate. Unbelievable lad. Come up from down south, but he had real bad migraines. And when they come on, whether it be before the game, in the warm-up, bit training, like he suffered really, really badly. Strong as an ox, a real powerhouse of a boy. And a lot of Hibs fans would probably forget who he was. But he was like, when you think I'm not saying in the same mould, obviously, because he never had the career, but when you think of Romans, how well he's done it, and obviously Hibs had a fan's favourite in David Murphy. Who was brilliant, Murph, like real top player. Obviously went down the road, started at Middlesbrough, come up the road, done brilliant for Hibs. But Edgy would be one that I thought when like in training and how he was as a lad, brilliant with the lads, looked after me and Scotty, kind of that younger generation.
Maybe that's how you get migraines.
Looking after me and Scotty, aye. Another one I would have went to would have been Daniel Kuzan. And Daniel Kuzan was a brilliant player, but I still felt he could have been even better. He was someone that had absolutely everything, but no a brilliant trainer, quite a laid back character. But I think him going to Celtic Park when Mendes scored, and he absolutely ragdolled Big McManus and Gary Caldwell, gave Mark Wilson a real torrid for obviously his first goal. He was and we never seen enough of it, mate. And he ended up obviously going to Hull. And I think he done really well for Hull. I think they sold him maybe signed him for $1 million and a half, and sold him for like 3 million, which was probably a lot of money back in the day. But he was one I felt if he had 2 or 3 years at Rangers, obviously he was fighting with guys like Kenny and Boydie who were probably more consistent than what he was, but he was he actually played up front that day with Kenny Miller in that 4-2 game, and he honestly, mate, when he was in the mood,
just lack of desire maybe.
I think I'm scoring like in Lyon in France, like playing against like the top European defenders, mate. It was probably. But I don't know if that was maybe Rangers was just a stepping stone for him to get to where he wanted to get to get a bit of exposure. I don't know, and I got to know him reasonably well without knowing his whole journey as a kind of football player. But he was a real humble lad. But in training at times, like I was aggressive obviously without the ball, but he was like twice the size of me, twice as wide as me. But if I wanted the ball off him, I could get it off him. But see if he decided that I wasn't getting the ball, he could decide whenever he wanted.
That's what you get with Scottish players, though, innit? You always get a bit of desire, majority of the time.
And that was him. And when he was, I suppose, I think when he started at Celtic Park that day, didn't he quote me on it, but he hadn't played much. And Walter put him in. And obviously typical Walter. Do you know what I mean? Like, done the right things at the right time, meticulously all the time. He very rarely got it wrong.
Where did Rangers sign him from?
I'm actually not 100% sure, mate. He was French, obviously, so I don't know if they brought him from somewhere in France.
Right.
I might be totally wrong. I should have really Googled him, but he was only at the, I think, for Lens, Dave, aye, he was, honestly, mate, like, I'm talking like, he could be on the front page of Men's Health magazine, like, ripped to the bone, mate. Like, a real big, strong, strapping lad, like, but only used it when he decided to use it.
Yeah.
But aye, he would be one that, when I think of talent and just how good and how... But yeah, I felt if he had played, he got sent off over in Florence in UEFA Cup semi-final. I felt if he had played in the final, he would have been the one player that if you could have started, he could have made a big difference in that game. Aye.
Next, Dave.
Okay, we'll get two more questions. So here's one from Craig. With Celtic scoring so many late goals, do you think it will be breeding confidence in the dressing room, or will there be some doubt?
For experiencing late goals, I think there's relief. It's relief that you've got there, but you knowing that you don't want to be in that position again. I've done it 3 times in a week. I don't think it's luck. I think it's an energy that comes for the manager, a demand for the club, the fans playing their part and getting behind, that relentlessness and winning attitude for title winners to go and win the game and keep going to the very end. But I don't think you can keep... I don't think any player, staff member or MD thinks that let's just continue to do this. I think you need to make... With the amount of games Celtic have got, you need to have a few in there that are comfortable, as in 2-0 up at half time, 3-0 up with 20 minutes to go, make a few changes, get resting players in there. I think you can't sustain it. Will it be giving confidence? I'll definitely not be hurting confidence, but I'd imagine it will be letting them realise that it's no somewhere we want to be every week. Be my opinion on it.
And the harsh reality is it's put them in a good position.
It has.
They're now right in the mix.
Yeah. And
probably not playing as particularly well as they would like. So
2-0 at half time yesterday, I would have said Celtic are not winning this game, nowhere near it. And when they won it, obviously I was delighted, but I said this needs to stop.
Aye.
I mean,
they can't. I'm not so sure they can go the next.
Alan Neil said that after the game. We can't continue like this. We've got to. We can't keep maintaining scoring.
It's not like they're not. The Livingston game was like a. I didn't think as much against Dundee, but the Livingston game, like they were chance after chance after chance after chance. You know what I mean? Like domination, really, as you'd expect, like a good Celtic team. But finding that second goal, finding that cushion to then not take the foot off the gas, but then the pass becomes a bit easier. Becomes
it's
a bit
almost
more space.
having that desire in the first half that you've got in the last minute. You know how like Vinchara's chance he gets against Livingston, misses it, but then Oxlade-Chamberlain's chance is nowhere near as good, but he scores it. Aye. You know that at that point there's no margin for error. You need to score the goal. Celtic need to find that early in the game and go and put teams to bed.
To me, they're giving opposition too much belief within games, which is no a normal thing for a good Celtic team. Normally they saturate that belief and really put you at the sword. Whereas we've probably not. I think we've seen that for any of the front three really, and that's maybe just a real positive for everybody else, that the gaps have become a bit tighter. Maybe the three teams are maybe not quite as as good as some other previous teams or whatever. That's not knocking any of the current lads, but maybe there's that much footage, analysts, you know what I mean, all this stuff behind the scenes that allow teams to be that wee bit harder to beat.
I think you can take their spirit away for teams having played against Celtic and Rangers and played for Celtic. If you're 2-0 down at half time, the message in the changing room is usually try and get the next goal, but if anything, don't let it get any worse. You all of a sudden start to think, don't make this 5 and 6. And that's where you kill teams with a spirit to let them have that encouragement. Is not sustainable over a long period of time.
Okay, cool. So, final question of the day then. This is from Rachel. Who would be your top 3 dinner guests, alive or dead?
Oh. Like a...
Right, first things first for me, I'm going to go Hulk Hogan. I love Hulk Hogan. God rest him.
I liked the wrestling when I was a
Hero,
kid,
man.
mate. I liked the wrestling.
Proper good guy.
I was a
wasn't he?
Shawn Michaels man.
He was good as well.
What
Liked him.
was it Bret the Hit? Bret the Hit.
Bret the Hart used to give his glasses away.
He had a brother too, didn't he? Was it
He had a few brothers. Owen Hart.
Owen
Owen Hart died, didn't he?
You're
From the
surprised I
ring.
know so much about wrestling, aren't you?
You're a big wrestling man, were you?
I like the action figures.
Right, get the table away. We're going to wrestle.
I used to have the wee figures, mate. I used to like talk my way through it, and I used to love the
I
Royal Rumble.
loved it.
Loved the Royal Rumble. So Hulk Hogan would be your first.
Hulk Hogan would be there. I'd love to have met him. Hulk Hogan. Who else is in there?
I'm going Denzel Washington. He's my favourite actor. I've actually got him in my games room. My cousin's an artist. He's a good artist. He's over in America. He does. He works for like the big brands over there. Does
Right.
like kind of caricature type stuff and all that. And to be fair, to do kind of action type figures is not really him.
Paint a picture of me and you for the wall.
I know. He should. I'm just looking at that one up there with you in the Scotland jersey. Is that again? Who's that against?
That's against England. That's Harry
Is
Kane.
that Harry? Oh, it's maybe not that good then. Who done that for you? That's not Harry Kane, is it? Nah, so my cousin's an artist, but he done it was like a black oil paint. It's actually like that without the colour. The scene of Denzel walking over the bridge on Man on Fire,
Nice.
holding the gun, when he's obviously on his last legs. So it's pride in place.
So Denzel, Shawn Mike. Oh no, did you say Shawn?
No, Sean. I'm got my second would be Michael Jordan.
Like it.
Michael Jordan. The
Like
Last
it. I want to
Dance.
steal that one off you now.
Netflix is
Unreal.
if you've
What a
not, I've watched it.
competitor he was.
Amazing, mate.
Unreal.
Amazing. So I'd go Denzel, Michael Jordan. I'm going to throw a wee random one in because I know my mate will laugh at this. He was a hero of mine growing up. I know you love the boxing and the boys that are obviously behind the scenes, Paul and Dave,
I'm
like
excited.
that. Joe Calzaghe, mate.
My dad loved him, mate.
Yeah, I love Joe Calzaghe. I used to have his back in the day when it was DVDs and
Some boxer, wasn't he?
unbelievable. And the bit I liked about him was not that I know a million things about him, but he's actually pals with Jodie Morris and Pizzo and that when they went to go down to London. They've seen like pictures of them obviously together. And I'm like, Pizzo, you need to get me to meet Joe Calzaghe.
His dad would come though, wouldn't he?
Dad's passed away now, isn't he?
Oh, is he? God rest him. Aye. His dad's spent an image of Uncle
Dad's passed
Franny.
away now. Aye. He's I'm sure he's passed away. I hope he's passed away. I'm not saying that he's passed. I'm sure he's passed away. Enzo, wasn't it?
We don't
Enzo
hope. You just.
Aye. Well, I'm not.
Well, we
hoping
know that
aye.
you've said that you don't want to be wrong.
I
Aye.
know. It's no, but I know the bit that I liked about him, mate, was the working class.
Aye.
Never had the big fancy gym. Obviously over in Wales, like used to run the hills, like proper old school, if you know what I mean, like old school morals, old school rituals. Kept his dad. Never
Unbeaten, wasn't he?
Never went to the the fancy trainers or whatever. Like, aye, amazing, mate.
So you're. Who do you say that?
Denzel, Michael Jordan,
Joe Calzaghe.
Joe Calzaghe.
Right, I'm Hulk Hogan. Pep Guardiola.
Pep would have been an easy one for me.
And then I'm going to go Will Farrell.
You just want to have a giggle.
I want to get a wee laugh in there. I want some serious stuff with Pep.
I just want
If I get the tactics pulled out with Pep.
I just want to know what elite's like, mate. Elite film.
Aye.
Jordan elite mindset. Calzaghe elite, mate. Like team sport to individual sport. Like
Aye.
to them, one of the best actors that we've ever seen.
Jordan back cracker, wasn't he, Michael Jordan?
He's like untouchable, isn't he?
Aye.
Amazing, man.
Good question. Right, mate, we're done.
Loved it.
I absolutely flew in again. It's mental how quick that goes, isn't it?
Amazing, mate. Just love talking about football, don't we?
Shooter's Doug Barton in the background there. Thanks for joining us again in the breakdown. Join us next week.